there, and thanks for joining me for another First Five. Today we take a look at Matthew chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. And when I read this, I can't help but imagine what it must have been like to be a first-hand witness of the empty tomb of Jesus. I mean, seriously, can you imagine that? I mean, what an emotional roller coaster that must have been. And here we see Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, who had been there through it all, really. They were there at the cross when Jesus died. Then they were there at the tomb when Jesus was buried. And then now we see that they're the first to experience and know the joy of Jesus' resurrection. So let's take a look at that. Matthew chapter 28, verses 1 through 10, it says this. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." I mean, how incredible it must have been to be one of these Marys. How incredibly life-changing, really. And I think three things kind of spring out of this passage for me. Number one, these women were urged to believe, to believe in something that seems pretty unbelievable. I mean, this is too good to be true in lots of areas here. At some point, the women had to take Jesus at his word, even though they were witnesses to what had happened. They had to believe that the promises of Christ were true. And two, I think the women were urged to share, right? It says when they realized that Jesus had risen from the dead, the first command that they're given was to go and tell. They have witnessed and experienced something that in many ways was too good to be true, but it was true. And because of this, their job was to go share it with others. So I think three, the women were urged to rejoice because of what they've experienced and because of what they now know to be true. The women get this opportunity to live forever in the joy that comes from knowing that the Lord is with them. And these three things are the same things for us today. When we hear and experience and encounter the news that Jesus has overcome death, that he has risen from the grave, that he is alive and well, we come face to face with this choice to believe that it is true. It might seem too good to be true, but we choose to believe it. And when we decide to believe it, when Jesus has made his presence known in our life and we have encountered him, he wants us to tell everybody. So go and make disciples, right? Go and spread this truth. Share the good news to everyone we find. And finally, we get to live with this joy that is knowing that Jesus is alive and nothing gets to take that from us. So the key here for me was this experience. I'm a little jealous of these women, if I'm going to be really honest, because they got to see this and witness this resurrection of Jesus in such a life-changing way, first-hand encounter. Now, we don't get this same opportunity. We weren't at the tomb. But Jesus is still alive and at work and wants us to encounter him if we haven't already. And if we have, we get to go and tell and rejoice in this truth. So maybe you've already had this encounter that has changed your life. Knowing Jesus changes lives. Or maybe we get to help to share this message with someone else and it changes their lives. I pray that one of those two things is true for us today as we go. May we either go and experience Jesus for the first time or a new time or we get to go and tell and be proclaimers of this truth. Make it a great day.